Okay, so yesterday afternoon when we was setting up in the auditorium and doing a little trial run, I realized that the Zoom floating toolbars don't show up on the participant side. They only show up on the organizer's computer. So a lot of the features in Zoom are in those toolbars, and I wanted you to be able to see, some of those features. So I decided just to make this video this morning and then show this video live when I share my screen here in just a few minutes on the Zoom. To get to Zoom on your laptop, I've got an icon there. Most of the time you probably don't have an icon, so you just go to the start menu, scroll all the way to the bottom since it's in alphabetical order, click Zoom, click Start Zoom. And so here's the screen that's going to come up. If I just sent you, like you wanted to be a part of this live meeting and I sent you the meeting ID, you could just click join meeting, put the meeting ID in and a password if there is one, and join the meeting. But if you're going to be doing quite a few Zooms and Zooming with your class and that kind of thing, you really need to create an account. So you want to click sign in, and then down here at the bottom it says sign up free, and you just click that, and then it'll make you put your first, last name, email address, and that kind of stuff. But since I already have an account, I'm going to go ahead and log in. All right, so here's your home screen on Zoom. You'll notice no meeting, join. That's another place where you can join a meeting if they've got a meeting ID. Schedule. Let's say we had to go home. Let's hope we don't, but if you did and you wanted to have live Zooms with your students, you could schedule those live Zooms and send it out to the students' email addresses. It'll send them a link and a time of the meeting. It'll also put it in their Google Calendar, and if they've got their email address set up on their phone or whatever, it'll send them a notification like 15 minutes before the meeting, or however you set it to send it to them. And then you got screen share. We could actually share a screen from here and invite people, but we're going to do it in the meeting. I think that's where most people will utilize it the most. So under new meeting, you've got most of the default's going to be share with video. I've got that turned off because for this particular video, if I went to click share with video, it's going to come up and it's going to use the camera on the laptop and you'll see me just basically holding a recording device at the screen. So I'm just not going to share. I'm not going to use the video part on this particular video. So I'm just going to hit new meeting. And so here's what comes up, and you can see some of the features. I'm going to get in there a little closer. You've got join audio, which we've already got. You got share video, share screen, and invite others. So if you wanted to invite others, you could click right there and you can send them an email with a link. You can also, there's the invite link right there. You can hit copy link and you could paste that into an email to whoever you want to send it to, or text, and invite them that way. The best way is just to use this little invite others, and it'll pull up all your contacts and you can put their email addresses from there. For this instance, I want to show you what happens when we share a screen, because I think that's when teaching a class, most of the time you'll be sharing your screen where it makes it easy, where the kids can see what you're doing on your computer. If you're writing on the smartboard, which I'll demonstrate live here in a few minutes, how it'll show up where they can actually see it a lot better than trying to see it through a recording device. So I'm gonna click share screen, and here's the options. I want to share. You can share your computer screen. You can share a whiteboard, you can share an iPhone or iPad. For this part of the meeting, just get the floating toolbar for you to see, I'm just going to do a screen. But now the whiteboard is a pretty cool feature. Ginger is going to be on in a few minutes live, and she's going to demonstrate using the iPad to hook up to a computer using a regular Apple charging cord to basically create a little pad for you to write on. That way kids can see what you're writing. Let's say you're homebound and you can't come up here to your classroom and get in front of the smart display. You can use an iPad or an iPhone and connect as a whiteboard and still be able to write on it like a math problem or whatever, and it show up on the screens for you to see real good. So we're going to do share screen. Very important right here. I learned the hard way. If you're recording a lesson, or if you're showing a video and you want them to be able to hear the sound, make sure to share computer sound. And then click share. Okay, so now anybody that's in this meeting can see everything that's going on my screen. And here's this toolbar, the floating toolbar I was telling you about. The reason we're doing this like this, because you can't see that. If I was in a live meeting, you wouldn't be able to see it. So here's some of the features. Let's say I'm in a meeting and I want to mute myself because I don't want somebody to hear what I'm saying. I can click mute there and mute it. This is basically just some of the options. That's the different microphones that I have on this computer and the different speakers. It's going to pick the default ones, and most of the times that works. If you have any problems, you can do test speaker and microphone, and it'll do a little test for you. Share video, I've got that turned off right now. You can turn it on by just clicking that, and then your webcam is going to show you or whatever you're pointing your webcam at. We're not going to worry about the security part of it. Participants, that's going to show you who's in the meeting. Right now it's just me. It's going to show you a list there of who's in the meeting. You can also invite people from there. So let's get out of that. And then we got new share, which is what we're doing here. We're sharing the screen. If you wasn't sharing the screen, you could still click new share and share it from there. Since we're sharing, it's giving me the option to pause the share. That way, if I want to do something on the screen that I don't want a student to see for a minute, I can pause the share. My video's still working if it's turned on in audio, but they just can't see the screen for a minute. All they can see is what you paused, the last thing you paused. And then you got annotate, which you can write on the screen, and that works a lot better with the whiteboard feature on the share screen. And then here's the more options. Okay, now this one's very important, the chat. Let's say you got 20 students in a class on a live Zoom, and you don't want them all talking at the same time. So what you would do is you would turn off their microphone. You'd be able to turn it off whether you can't hear them. You tell them to mute it, and then you turn on the chat feature. And so now they can type a message right there, or you can type a message right there, and you can communicate in this group chat with your kids, and it's going to show their name. Let's just show you how it kind of works. I'm going to hit test and see. It's going to say for me, and then if they answer, it's going to come back their name. So you can talk to them without having 20 different people trying to answer at the same time whatever question that you're submitting to them on a live Zoom. Let's go back up here, the floating toolbars. Record, that's another big one. Because if you are doing a lesson and you don't want to do this, like this video here, I don't want to do this 30 times. So I could just click record, And I'll show you here in a minute. I'll go ahead and click it and say now it's recording the Zoom. So it's recording everything that is said or done on this Zoom. And basically why we would use that is if we want to do it one time in the morning. Let's say we have 6 classes that all are getting the same thing. You know, it's the same subject, they're getting the same information. Just do it once and record it. And then I'm going to show you where it sends it at the end. And you just take that, it puts it in a movie file. You just take that file and you can put it on your Google Drive and share it with the Google Classroom. And Miss Helms is going to do Google Classroom. She can kind of show you how to do that. So once you start recording, you got pause recording, stop recording, and that kind of stuff. Let's say I'm presenting and I don't want these toolbars to show, let's say I'm in there in that auditorium right now and I'm presenting and I don't want those toolbars taking up my screen that I'm trying to show to y'all. So I can hide those by clicking that. I don't want your computer sound. If I don't want you to be able to hear what's going on the computer, I can turn that off as well. And then here's end, and that's when you're ready to end the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and click end. I'm going to kind of show you what happens with that recorded video since we started recording it. So I'm going to click end, click end for all. Okay, now you see it's converting that meeting for me. And the reason I waited to the end, because if it's a pretty long lesson, yeah, it can take this a few minutes. I've seen it take 10 minutes to convert this video, so that's why I kind of waited to the end to turn the record on this part, because I'm probably never going to use this recording again. I just wanted it to make it pretty short. It's going through, and before it's done, I know where it's going to go, so I'm going to go ahead and show you. It's going to go, let's say I'm just clicking on my File Explorer, and it's going to go in Documents, Zoom. And when we put Zoom on your computer, it created this folder. So I'm just going to double click that, and your recordings are going to be in there. And there's the playback, that Zoom._0, and you can right click on it and rename it whatever you want. Let's say it's Science 101 or whatever, you can rename it. But that is pretty much it on Zoom. There's not a whole lot to it. You can play around with it and learn some of the features that I didn't show you. There's not a whole lot to it. I mean, it's really a great product. It works real good. The screen share part, like I said, you'll see here in a minute live. It's a pretty cool deal. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Most of you got my cell phone number. You can email me. All right, we're going to go back to the live meeting now.